through. Didiskartehan ko yan. As in, like, I'm gonna try to manipulate my situation and even people, especially before when I was still pre-Christian era, I try to manipulate things and people so that I can have things my own way because I worry whether I'm gonna get what I want or not. And then when we try to achieve the things that we think that are good for us, the good life, but we actually end up being short, and then we ended up just achieving things that are actually counterfeit. So what we end up reaching for? Pleasure, power, recognition, comfort, wealth, vanity, other things. Because that's actually not a good life. But yun na yung kaya natin eh. Yun lang yung dinidiskartehan ng Latin. And that's why we end up being trying to satisfy ourselves with those counterfeits. Gab, could you read, Gab Castillo, could you read this quote from Mere Christianity, please?
Sure. Look for yourself, and you will find in the long run only hatred, loneliness, despair, rage, ruin, and decay. But look for Christ, and you will find him, and with him everything else thrown.
Ayun. We are reminded by C.S. Lewis, no? Pag hanapin mo yung sarili mo, tingin mo, masasatisfy mo yung sarili mo, you're actually gonna lose yourself and you're just gonna be experiencing loneliness, decay. But if you actually look for God, who's the one that you actually need, then you're gonna find other things that you need thrown into it. I suggest, brothers, that you click it later on. That will be a video of a YouTube video of a narration ng chapter na kung saan ko kinuha yung quote. So just click in the PDF file, the Mere Christianity. You'll be led to the YouTube doodle summary video of Mere Christianity. That section. Okay. And so, brothers, I think for us to recognize that the Lord is so generous and his nature is to bless us, we need to recognize that we don't have what it takes to actually provide for ourselves what we need. Then we end up just going for the things that would satisfy us. Sa akin, brothers, ang experience ko, gusto kong bida ako eh. And I want the limelight, I want the attention, and I want the admiration of people. Muntik na ako, brothers, mag-PBB. Actually, hindi PBB. Starstruck nung panahon ko. Siguro yung mga bata dito hindi nyo na alam. Dream, believe, survive tayo. Pero muntik na ako mag-audition. It's just really part of my life. And sometimes I experience that even now. That when I'm threatened and when I think that I'm not living the good life, I take things into my own hands and try to be the limelight so that I could feel good about myself. And sometimes I could experience the good life that I'm trying to yearn for. But then I realize I only need God and I only need the audience of the Lord so that I can actually live a good life. So how do we rely on God and how do we get to be reminded about this truth that the only thing that we need is God himself, and he will be the one to nourish us and satisfy us. Brothers, we take some spiritual disciplines. Brother Paul, Saret, sorry, ikaw ang nakita ko dito. Could you read this quote from Celebration of Discipline, please? Please. You're able to see it, Ama, no?
Yes, bro.
Okay, sige, please.
Item 4, right?
Yes.
It's helpless to grow grain. All he can do is provide the right conditions for the growing of grain. He cultivates the ground, he plants the seed, he waters the plants, and then the natural forces of the earth take over and up comes the grain. This is the way it is with the spiritual disciplines. They are a way of sowing to the spirit. By themselves, the spiritual disciplines can do nothing. They can only get us to the place where something can be done.
Okay. Thank you, Paul, so by this time, nakikita nyo na yung challenge, ano? Wag muna kayong ma-threaten sa challenge. Doon muna tayo sa spiritual discipline. When we actually take some spiritual disciplines, brothers, we are reminded that we are in a place, in a wilderness that God puts us so that we can know that God is the one who provides strength for us and satisfaction. And sometimes we need to force ourselves to be in that situations because we tend to be comfortable already where we are. We're happy with our work, we're able to provide. Nakapag-Japan na ba ang lahat? Kaya na natin mag-Japan ngayon. Maybe for many of us. Before, parang it's far-fetched, no? Parang hindi mo maisip eh. Pero seems like everything is within our reach. And then we realize we don't have what it takes to have the good life. And we need to be subjecting ourselves, brothers, to certain kinds of discipline. And Foster gives us several suggestions in terms of disciplines. And I put there certain options, no? But for now, my suggestion, brothers, is we focus on things that would really make us realize that God is the only thing we need. There was one time I decided to not look at a mirror during 40 days. I found myself always very vain, and then that's what I decided. Hindi ako titingin sa salamin. Unless magtutoothbrush or something. Pero I tried to avoid looking at myself sa window ng sasakyan. Kasi I found myself going to that. And then I realized it's making me actually recognize sino ba yung hinahanap ko na attention. Dapat Panginoon lang. And I think it would be good for us to focus on some disciplines, maybe one, and so that we can actually begin to recognize that God is the only thing that we need and everything will flow into it and we will be satisfied. So, for our challenge for this week, may I suggest the basic discipline muna, apart from prayer, is fasting. Some of you would say, naku, hindi ko na kailangan mag-fasting para masabi na I need the Lord. Wait until you actually try it. And my recommendation is we actually only eat 2 meals a day, no in between and no snacking, solids. So, pwede naman liquids. So, kayo nang bahala according to your conscience how you would want to take on the challenge. But brothers, let's take this discipline so that we will be reminded that God is the only one that can sustain us and nourish us. God bless.
Amen. Thank you very much, JR. Brothers, let's give JR a virtual clap.
Thank you.
Thank you, JR. Good input. Solid. And yeah, brothers, I will say more about the challenge that JR shared. But at this time, may I ask Benny to flash the discussion starter? And then shortly after that, we will break into small groups. This is going to be random again. What I'm going to ask you to do is as soon as Benny flashes the discussion starter, take a picture of it. And then, okay, I'll just give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's now break up into breakout rooms. And then these are the things we can share to one another. We'll give ourselves 10 minutes for this.